Hi, everybody. It's Will on Live 4. Well, over the last few weeks, I have been flirting with the idea of being a big crime boss, doing videos on ammo production and drugs. But I decided to get back to my real self today and focus on something that's my primary interest, and that is food. So, what I've done here is I've assembled the fabricators and the production system from some of the best mods on Starfield for actually creating food, but not just creating it in order to sit down at the table and eat away, but as actually part of a production system. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show, I've installed all of these here. I'm going to hook them up to power so we can actually begin to see to get them work. And then I'm going to review them based on several criteria. So here are the 5 mods. Manufacturing Food by Betamax. Farm Fresh Fabricated Produce by Nullifidian. Protein Synthesis More Food, also by Nullifidian. Culinary Greenhouses by Combucidalusa, and Synthetic Production Lab by the same author. Well, I've created this little chart so we can have some basis for comparison here. And the first 3 columns after the mod and the author's name are the types of food that are actually produced, whether it's produce, a meat or protein, or prepared foods. The next would be how complicated is the build. How many products, food products, are actually produced with this mod? How complicated are the recipes? How difficult is the storage? And then what is the profit potential, if any? Let's go down and take a look at them. Okay, let's review how we build them. We'll go in our builder's menu, and food fabrication small is the first one. You can see it's a standard fabricator, requires standard materials, no problem there. He's also got a medium, again, pretty straightforward, and a large with a couple different varieties, but each of them just requires standard materials. Next is the Farm Fresh Produce Fabricator. And that is, again, a standard fabricator, but it does require you to have a carrot in your pocket or some kind of produce product in order to build that fabricator. Next is the protein synthesizer, and that requires standard materials plus protein in order to make that one. And then our bigger products are down here. The Culinary Greenhouse. You see, for that one, you're going to require one of every example of produce that it produces, along with a couple other things. So that is, I consider that to be hard unless you already have everything. And finally, the Synthetic Production Lab, generally straightforward, but it does require an alien genetic material, and that's true no matter which of the sizes that you pick. Now let's look and see exactly what the machines produce. Here are the 3 manufacturing food fabricators lined up, and they make a total of 39 products, which is by far the largest of any of the competition here. So let's see what they actually can make. And it is really an impressive list of materials, of foods. Many that you've seen around the universe requires, a lot of them require distilled water, which you can make here if you have membrane. And going on to the compound, they are, as you would expect, even more complicated. requires a lot of different foods, some of which you may have already in your shopping cart, but specifically noodles and eggs and a kanuki poutine. I mean, they're more for entertainment, I think, than actually possible production. Here is spiced liquor tomato. I don't know that you can make liquor anywhere. So you can see that I would consider this 39 products to be the hardest of any to actually produce, but potentially the most profitable, and we'll get to that later. So let's go over and look at our second group here, which is farm fresh fabricated produce, and it just makes straightforward 12 different fruits and vegetables. Very simple. All it requires is water to make. So I'd say that that's about as easy as you get. Here, the protein synthesizer. Now, this guy will make 10 products, but of course they are products that are protein, some of which you could then turn around and use in the first one. Glad to see there's still multi-meat in the future. Ham and eggs, you notice that they all just require nutrient and water. So that is certainly the easiest protein that you can build in the game for sure. Okay, let's drop down now to, let's start with the culinary, just because that's the order that it is in my chart. And here, of course, we need all of these items to get started. But once we do, if we already have one of each of them, all it requires is water to make the rest of them, including things like spice, pigment, and fiber, which is about as cheap a way to produce those items, which are useful elsewhere, as you can find. And then finally over here at the culinary, that was 17 products, by the way, 17 foods or other materials. And over here at this synthetic production lab, it's synthetic everything, but they are a little more complicated. A lot of different ingredients needed, organics, of course, for the most part. And there are only 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they're quite valuable, as you can see. So that's the beginning to give you a sense of the trade-offs that are involved. So let's go back up to our platform here. I'm going to give us some power, and we'll start to make some of these items. So I've gotten us some power, and I'm going to use this transfer container here, and you see I've loaded it with the materials that I've identified will be necessary for each to make one product from each. And so here I've decided to make alien jerky, which only requires membrane and nutrient. It's not worth very much, but let's see, I think I have some. Yeah, we already made 6 of them. Over here, the first product on the menu are carrots, and it just requires water. I have a couple extractors of water going, so you see we're making carrots. There's the extractors over there. And over here, the protein synthesizer. Now let's see, have I set that up to make anything yet? That's butter that requires nutrient and water. But I don't see that it's connected. Let me see. Maybe I didn't make a connection to that. No, it says it's already connected. So I don't know why I'm not getting any production yet. But there are anomalies in the system here. It may be that there isn't any storage in the fabricator itself. I'll have to wait till I connect it up to an actual storage container. So let's go down and see about our ranch here. It's making synthemeat chicken. That's cool. And finally, carrots again. So everything seems to work. A little strange that I'm not seeing anything from the protein synthesizer. Let me see if there's another item that I could actually make here. Let's try cheese. It says I need to reconnect it. I will go over and do another output link. Yep, it says it's already connected. So I have to assume that this is either the mod doesn't work, something went wrong in the way I set it up, or it has to be connected to storage. So let's go on to that issue, which is the most complicated in making a food production system. Well, that complication is that within the Starfield world, food is not classified as a solid, liquid, gas, or manufactured product. So food producers like these guys here that we're looking at today have a choice to make. They can make their own container, and a couple of them have done that, or they can try and find another source of an all-purpose container which doesn't have those restrictions on it. So let's look at each of them and see how they have addressed this. I'm going to take the output from this food fabricator and see what it will connect to. It'll connect to that container, and it should, because that comes with the mod. It does not connect to the second container, which comes with that mod. It will connect to an all-purpose container, and that all-purpose container comes from the mod Magnus the Magnate. So let's see about our second fabricator here. If I want an output link, we'll connect with the first container, we'll connect with its own, and we'll connect with the all-purpose. Let's look at the protein synthesizer. There it goes. It will connect with the all-purpose. It will connect with stores number 2 and stores number 1. While we're there, just let me take a look at that. It's got power, nutrient, and water. So why don't I just connect that to that container? Let's see what happens. Well, let's do the same thing here. Synthetic Production Lab will connect with the all-purpose with the second storage container and the first. And the Culinary Greenhouse will not connect with that one, or that one. Connects only to the universal storage. So let's go up, look at them again, and figure out what this means. Well, let's discuss the containers. Manufacturing food provides its own container, and if you go into your build menu under storage, you'll see it right here, and it comes in 3 different sizes, default, medium, and large. Obviously, this is the default. I have the large over there, and the downside of this container, we'll see in a second, it only has a capacity of 150, just like vanilla containers at the beginning of the game, I guess. The largest one is 600. The next container is the Farm Fresh container. That has a capacity of 6,000, which is certainly good. And in the menu, under storage, you'll see it down here, storage food. Simple to build. And finally, the all-purpose container from Magnus the Magnate. And you'll see why I love these containers. It has a mass of 10,000. And this is the small one. And it is all-purpose. And I'll show you in the menu. It's called Universal Storage. And he makes them so they'll look like any of the other containers. They're all-purpose. You can choose whichever one you want, whichever is your fancy. So let's go and I'll get these all connected and we'll start to see what it looks like. I've connected the fabricators. I've actually found something I can make easily. In this fabricator, this one, they're both connected to their own container, and you can see that I have alien liquor and alien jerky being produced in quantity. I have the Farm Fresh connected to its own container, along with the synthetic production lab, which is producing the protein. So it's got Synthameat chicken and carrots coming from this producer. And then finally, over here in the all-purpose container, I have the protein synthesizer and the Culinary Greenhouse over there, both connected here. And I have the butter and cheese we saw before, and now I'm getting grapes from the Culinary Greenhouse. Now, one thing I think that I should point out, and you see there's other construction here, Culinary Greenhouse comes in 3 sizes, just like in the regular game. There's the default commercial and industrial, and the same with the animal husbandry or ranches for the production lab. So presumably, obviously, we'd get more production from those. So, okay, that's basically the setup. So let's get to my conclusion about what I think is good or bad about all of these. Well, here's my summary, as you can see from the chart. Manufacturing food makes all of the food groups, produce, protein, and prepared. It's easy to build, and there are 39 products, but the recipes are very hard, and the storage is limited. That maximum of 600 on the largest container is really a downer, because in any kind of production, you're going to reach that limit, and towers of containers are really just not almost 2025's solution to production. So it means the all-purpose containers from Magnus the Magnate or elsewhere if we can find them. However, the profit potential is high because those finished products are valuable. Farm Fresh fabricated produce is easy to build. I say medium because it does require you to have something other than standard building materials. It makes 12 products. It's easy to run, and it can be stored in anything, including its own containers that are very good capacity. But you're not going to make a lot of money just from fruits and vegetables, sorry to say. Protein synthesis, on the other hand, by the same author, it makes 10 products. It's also very easy, can store anywhere. So I'd say that's got potential to make a profit. Culinary Greenhouses, on the other hand, since they only will link to one container, is definitely a downer. And it's hard to make because you have to have everything in your inventory before you even start. So I'd say that that's a low on the profit side. Synthetic Production Lab, on the other hand, by the same author, is easy to build. It only makes 5 products. The recipes are more complicated than the greenhouse, but you can store them anywhere, and those are valuable products. So, of course, there's nothing to say that you would be limited to just one of these choices. You can have them all and have them all running, and you become the 3030 equivalent of Whole Foods or something. But for me, I think that what I may do is that I may take my advice and put together the Synthetic Production Lab and farm fresh fabricated produce, try and link that up with manufacturing food by Betamax, and see if we can come up with a system that produces a lot of good stuff. So that is really the end of this video, and when I build that, which I think I will do, I'll come back and I should give you a whole tour about it. But please give you a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.